We're following for you. 1 year ago today, outspoken secular opposition politician Chokri Belaid was gunned down outside his home. The ensuing outrage putting pressure on lawmakers in the nation that sparked the Arab Spring, lawmakers who've just approved a constitution deemed historic for the entire Arab world. The start of this week, though, a shootout with Islamists, leaving 7 dead in the suburbs of Tunis. One of the killed, one of Belaid's suspected murderers. France 24's Marine Casalis reports.
Every Wednesday for a year, Chokri Belaid's relatives have gathered demanding more be done to find his killer. His widow Basma has condemned the slow process and the lack of progress made.
Until now, we still haven't found out who the real killer is or who ordered the killing. Key ballistics information has been hidden for 5 months, and so there's been a lot of covering up by some within the Interior Ministry.
During an anti-terrorist operation on Tuesday, a group of armed men were killed. Among them was Kamel Gadgadi, Chokri Belaid's alleged killer. The Interior Ministry says it's doing everything it can.
We've arrested 13 people. We can confirm that we've arrested the majority of the accomplices in Chokri Belaid's murder. There are still individuals outside of Tunisia we are pursuing. For example, Saifallah bin Hassin, alias Abu Iyad, who is one of the members who we think masterminded Chokri Belaid's assassination.
But Chokri Belaid's lawyers are sceptical.
That Gadgadi or X or Y is murdered may be better for Tunisia, but it doesn't solve the problem. As long as all the terrorist network involved in this murder remains intact, as well as those who helped, gave the order, or funded the murder, we believe that nothing has been done.
Chokri Belaid's relatives now fear with the death of his alleged killer, the investigation will end and they'll never be entirely sure who ordered his assassination.
Well, we're pleased to welcome from Tunis, joining us from Human Rights Watch. She is the Tunisia Office Director, Amna Galali. Thank you for being with us. Let me first ask you, regarding that shootout that happened earlier this week, what's your gut feeling?
I think, well, this operation has been ongoing against alleged terrorist groups has been ongoing since already several months. The grip has been tightening from security forces on these groups, and they have been on a hunt mission on after Gadgadi, because there was already information that he might be in Tunis. So I think intelligence services and security services have like worked together in order to identify his location. And this operation, what we can say is that from the information we gathered is that the security forces have attempted to arrest those people by warning them first that they have to surrender. And apparently these people who have been killed did not surrender. And that's when the security forces were also obliged to open fire. So I think it's also very interesting and even perplexing coincidence that it's 2 days before the commemoration of the assassination of Chokri Belaid. We can say that it would have been much better to arrest Gadgadi, of course, because that's how all the linkages that tie him to other people higher up in this Ansar Sharia or other organization could have been unraveled. With his death and his killing, I think this one piece of the truth might not be easily reported now, and that's what many of the people in the family of Chokri Belaid and also his lawyers say about this operation.
All right, Tuesday's shootout, obviously still with a lot of gray areas, as you say. There's the broader picture. Amna, when you think back to 1 year ago and when that murder happened, did you think that today we'd be talking about the new constitution, the arrival on Friday of the French president, and the build-up to elections?
Yes, I think many things have happened during this year. There was a lot of political wrangles, a lot of tension after the assassination of Shukri Belaid, but also after the assassination also of another leftist politician, Mohammed Al-Brahmi, in July 2013. In the meantime, I think the political situation is much clearer now, with a very clear roadmap, with a more clear agenda for Tunisia.
And Amna, when those two political assassinations happened, did you think at that time Tunisia would go the way of, say, Egypt?
It could have been. I think many people worried that the Tunisian transition to democracy would be derailed, because we were on the brink of a very difficult time, on the brink of collapse. All the institutions of the state and all the political actors were really in a very highly tense moment. So I think we've gone a long way from that. And with the adoption of the constitution, with also the clearing of the security situation, is something very important for having a better, visibility for the future and for a new path toward security and democracy and human rights. And I think what happened last year was also the result of many factors, including the impunity with which many of these armed groups or groups who are allegedly being terrorist groups were treated by the state. And I think this impunity is no longer totally the characteristic of the way the Tunisian authorities are dealing with, jihadist or terrorist groups.
So there have been compromises. The Islamist party Ennahda agreeing to those compromises and agreeing to this constitution, which is based in civil law. Were you surprised that in the end Ennahda played ball?
I think Ennahda was also, of course, it made compromises all along these 2 years of constitution drafting process. The compromises were not only at the end, but since the beginning. But also, I think Ennahda was cornered right after the assassination of Mohammed Brahmi in July into being like having these compromises and giving some concessions to the opposition, because there was a very difficult time where also in Egypt, of course, like the mirror effect and what was coming from Egypt was very worrying, I think, for Islamist parties like Ennahda, that this would be the fate if they didn't compromise. So I think all these elements and all this regional dynamic has also played into moving them forward into the compromises, which are at the end for the benefit of the country.
And certainly Tunisia earning a lot of praise for most notably Article 46, women's rights enshrined. Article 1 of that constitution, I'll read it to you, Amna. It says, Tunisia is a free state, independent and sovereign. Islam is its religion, Arabic its language, and the Republic its regime. What do you think Shukri Belaid would have said about that?
Well, Shukri Belaid was not opposed to this article. I think since the beginning of this constitution drafting process, most of the political parties, even the most secular, were agreed to keep this article, which is from the Constitution of 1959, so the first constitution of the independent Tunisia. And it was like there was an agreement, a consensus on this article. What was more contentious is the interpretation of the article, whether that Tunisia is a state with Islam, its constitution will be interpreted as enshrining Islamic law. That's what many people oppose to, and that's what is made clear also through the fact that we renounce to the existence of Sharia or to the Islamic law in the constitution. There is no mention of that in the constitution. So I think the way it will be interpreted will be determinative of of the fate of this article and also of the civil state, the civil character of the state.
All right, the proof will be in the pudding. Amna Gilali, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Amna Gilali of Human Rights Watch's Tunisia Bureau. That's it for this half hour, but stay with us. Much more to come. We'll have the weather, the news, Business will be coming up, and then sports. We're going to give you front row seats to the Olympic downhill run. Fasten your seatbelts.